What is up, everyone, and welcome back to yet another predictions video. That is right, we are back with NA Open Qualifier number 5, getting ready for the Raleigh Major. We are swiftly approaching it, end of next month. I'm so excited. Like I said in a few other videos, I will be at the Major, and if you guys are interested in a vlog, make sure to let me know. Really considering it. I enjoyed making the Worlds vlog at what was it, Fort Worth last time. So I said, if you are very interested in it, make sure to let me know, because I'm excited, man. Really excited for the Major. But anyways, let's go and hop right into these predictions. So starting out, we have Schnitzel versus Pirates. I believe so. I think their full name is Schnitzel House. This is actually a strange team. This is the team of Lion Blaze, Thai, and Panda. I don't know what kind of black magic they were performing last weekend, but they went 3-0, beating both NRG and Complexity after not even making the previous regional. I don't know what, took over them, but they played phenomenal, and they got 2 massive wins on their way to going 3-0 and making it out of Swiss and making the main event. So honestly, looking pretty hot. I don't know if they'll be able to keep it up though. But their first round matchup is Poab, who has not been looking very good recently. I have not been very impressed with them. They've really been kind of on the cuffs of just, not even making some of these main events. So really not sure what's been up with Poab, but not been great. And I think because of that, we're going to see Haas get a win over them. By all accounts, this should be an upset, but the way, just based off some recent form, this is kind of how the prediction I have to go with. Although I do think if Pirates do win, don't be surprised. I do think they have, a higher floor. So if Schnitzelhaus just out of nowhere decides, they're going to go back to just not being very good, I do think Pirates could definitely take them down. Next, we got Rebellion versus the Boys. Now, the Boys are honestly playing really well. This is Evo's team. He's teamed with Aqua and Percy, and they looked very good. This past weekend for the qualifiers, but they honestly looked pretty good in the qualifiers leading up to the previous regional until Evo lost power and could not play, which was really unfortunate. They ended up having to forfeit last week, or in the last regional, so they weren't able to do much. But yeah, I do think the Boys are a very solid team, and because of that, I think I'm going to give them an upset over Rebellion. Rebellion's been very shaky this season, and especially since their roster move, switching sending Justin to GenG and replacing him with Reddles. They've been very shaky, so have not been totally impressed with them. And yeah, I think the Boys is going to get a pretty interesting upset because of that. And then next we got GenG deleted. This one, not too much to say on it. GenG have been in a very good form recently. They've, their only loss since picking up Justin was that grand finals to NRG. Or yeah, they got kind of smoked, but I mean, it's NRG. We can't really blame them too much. But outside of that, GenG looking very good so far this split. So I think they'll continue to play up to that level. And then speaking of NRG here, they have, they're going to have to get a rematch of NRG as they get a win over SimTalk. I just don't think SimTalk is really good enough to beat a team like, beat a team as good as NRG. But yeah, so this will set up a pretty interesting match to determine their top 6. And Pirates Rebellion down here, and I think Rebellion get a good bounce back and will take down Pirates. Shouldn't have too much issue with that. And then deleted SimTalk, I think deleted is a better team, will get it done. They've made a top 8 in the past and will now as well. And then Schnitzel versus the Boys. Honestly, give it to the Boys. The Boys gonna make a top 6 after not, getting to play in the last regional. So good performance from them, to be expected. I think, like I said, I've really liked this roster so far. I've seen them play a few times. I've been very impressed with how they've played. So I think, top 6 through upper bracket with, who they have in their group is not too out of the question. And that's what we got here. And then GenG versus NRG. I know NRG's not, a big Friday player, and because of that, I'm actually going to give it to GenG. They're going to win the rematch. They're going to get their revenge for the grand finals as they move on through upper bracket. And down here we have NRG Rebellion. This one, though, when things actually matter, will not be close. NRG is going to get a pretty big win. And in this one, the Schnitzel versus Deleted is a very close matchup. Depends if I want to give it to the team that's been more consistent. I've had, a little bit more belief in this season, or the team with, the peaked this past regional. And I think I would give it to Schnitzel House as they get a top 8, their first of the season. Yeah, this is what Group A is shaped out to be. Now let's go and move on to Group B. Next, we have, starting out with Group B, is SSG versus Bubble Sort. I believe Bubble Sort is Flitz. Yep, it's Flitz, Toasty, and Mech. And if you have not heard of Mech, this dude is crazy. He's a 14-year-old and has been on the, come up, and as of very recently, he's been gaining a ton of hype. He made the last regional. I don't remember with who. Let me check just real quick. It was Power Rangers, which was Darklight Hex and Heart Hexic were his teammates, and they did make the regional this past event. So yeah, Mech has been playing pretty well recently. Really impressed with him. Unfortunately, they're running into an absolute god squad in SSG. SSG's been very good recently as well. They went 3-0 through Swiss, only dropping a single game to Rebellion. Yeah, they've been pretty strong so far this split since swapping out Frosty for Kofor. And speaking of Frosty, here is his new team against Strictly Business, and I think, Complexity. Like I said, they're very good at taking down the teams below them. It's when these teams above them is where they start to struggle a little bit. But, next we have SSG Complexity, and we saw them play in this past regional in the upper bracket. Complexity got a strong win, and I think they will match that and get another big win over them as well. Will be closer than it was last time, but yeah, I think Complexity will look to win this and continue to kind of cruise through the group stage like they have every single week, so every single regional so far. And then moving on down here, we have Ultimates versus Little Step Bros. Now, if you don't know who Step Bros is, this is Alpha Cap's team. Yeah, Alpha Cap is making a regional in 2025. That is crazy to think about, but yeah, the 27-year-old, I think, he's teamed with Ga and T-Corral, and yeah, they actually looked, they had a kind of easy run, per se, to get to the top 8, but the fact that they even made it is just wild to think about. So props to them, props to Alpha Cap, props to, Ga and T-Corral as well for even making here. Unfortunately for them, they're running into Ultimates and they are going to get curb stomped. No nice way to put it. They are going to get curb stomped. There is not a world where they take this series. If they take a game, honestly, props to them. I don't think it's going to happen. They are running into just kind of a behemoth of a team in the first round, but that's kind of what happens when you just barely scrape through. And then next we have SOS versus Team Evo. I forgot who SOS is, but they had a solid run. Actually, this Drewy, Life, and Plexi. So Life, the former Switch player, yeah, he looked pretty solid. They got some decent wins. And they're going against Evo, but I do think the experience of the Evo players will be too much to overcome for SOS, and they will be sent to the lower bracket. And then we have Ultimates versus Evo. We've seen this a few times. Every time it's ended in a sweep. So I think it'll be another one, unfortunately, for Evo, as they get sent to lower bracket. Where we have Strictly Business versus Bubble Sort. Like I said, we've been hyping. Mech has been getting some hype, but I just don't think this roster is good enough to take down a team like Strictly Business. And then next we got Little Step Bros versus SOS, and then fortunately for Little Step Bros, their run comes to an end here. Like I said, just too, props to them for even making it to the regional, but I just don't think they have that kind of the talent to compete with some of these better teams, And then next we have Evo versus Strictly Business, the two EU import squads going head to head. Which one will be better? I think it will be Evo in a game 5, and they move on to top 8, just scraping it out. And then we have SSG versus SOS. This should be not much of a question. They will get in a sweep. Yeah, so this is what our playoff bracket is looking like. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun one. We'll talk in a second. But yeah, this is what we're looking like, and let's hop right into it. Starting with the upper bracket, we have GenG versus Complexity. And, you know, both teams, they got stomped on Championship Sunday by NRG, so not much difference between them. But I've been a bigger fan of this GenG squad ever since they've picked up Justin. And even if going back to Regional 3, GenG took down Complexity pretty handily on the way to their regional win. But yeah, I've been a big fan of this GenG squad. They've looked good ever since picking up Justin. And I think they're going to get a good win over Complexity. Next, we have the Ultimates versus the Boys. And yeah, I'm going to be honest, Ultimates are probably going to stomp them. I don't think there should be much issue for them winning this series. I don't think they'll struggle too much. As much as I like this Boys roster, the Ultimates are kind of just a different beast. Next, we have Schnitzel versus Team Evo. And unfortunately for this Schnitzel House squad, their run ends here. Evo, just a little too good for them. I don't think they're going to be able to overcome, an experienced squad like them. I know Lion Blaze has been, he's definitely a veteran, but not much. You haven't seen much. Sai and Panda are still a little bit young, on the younger side, a little bit less experience per se. So I don't think they're going to be able to overcome that, and I just don't think they're going to be able to. I don't think they have the skill to match a team like Evo. And then next we have just an absolute banger down here in the top 8 match. We have NRG versus SSG. Is either, especially SSG, losing at top 8 here could be rough for the playoff chances. And this is, we're talking about we're talking about playoff energy here. I think they're going to get a big win over SSG to eliminate them and continue their run. And unfortunate for SSG, it's going to put them on the outside looking in. We'll look at the points once we're all done here. But yeah, tough luck for this SSG drawing a team like NRG this early in the this early in the bracket. And next we get Complexity versus Evo. I think Complexity is just I think the Frosty pickup's been a good pickup. I think he is an upgrade over Raise Bull, and he should raise their ceiling a bit. I don't know. They still struggle with the the better teams, which has been a consistent issue. But like I said, I think with a player like Frosty, the ceiling's gonna be raised a little bit, and I don't think they're gonna struggle too much with these lower level teams like Evo. So should be able to get a pretty clean win over them and move on to top 4. Next, Boys versus NRG. Like I said, this is playoff energy we're talking about. They've been kind of dominant as of recent. We saw them last week where they won their semis and grands 8-0. Did not drop a game. Only gave 3 goals in those 2 series. Dominant performance. And the Boys, proud of them for making top 4 or top 6, but I don't think they're going to be able to overcome a team like NRG. And then Ultimates versus Complexity. Ultimates going to get back into form. They're, they had a little bit of a rough regional last time, dropping to SSG in the groups. Not very good groups team. That's just kind of how Ultimates are. They don't play as well as Friday. SSG seems to be Friday demons. And then GenG versus NRG, and then they dropped to NRG in the top 6, just barely losing that series as well. I feel like they probably would have won the regional had they been able to get over NRG, but what can you do? Just how it is, how it shapes out. But yeah, I think they're going to get a better performance this regional and making yet another grand finals. And then we have GenG versus NRG. This will be the 4th time we've seen this season already. Just crazy amount of times they've played each other. But like last time, I think NRG is going to get some revenge over GenG after getting being up here in the group stage and move on to grand finals, where they will play the Ultimates yet again. And this time Ultimates are going to get their, they were a little bit sour about losing regional, especially in the form they did. I think they're going to come out a little bit better, and they're going to get the regional win, secure themselves as one of the best teams in the world, and maybe ready to show that NA still got it a little bit outside of NRG. So yeah, that's my regional predictions. Totally not biased at all. Let's go ahead and check out the point ranking real quick. So yeah, so top 4 just for this is just for Raleigh right here. NRG in 1st, Ultimate 2nd, GenG 3rd, Complexity 4th, and SSG in 5th. Not too far off. They just need a slightly better performance than Complexity in the final regional. Maybe like if they'd make a top, I think if they make a top 2 should be enough. Yeah, top 2 should be enough, because I don't think Complexity is going to be winning the regional. So yeah, if SSG can make a grand final while Complexity, you know, goes on like top 4 or something, then yeah, that should be enough for SSG to, you know, make the major. GenG and these 3 teams are probably going to be pretty comfortable as long as they don't completely, you know, just, how do I word it, crap the bed in the last regional. They should be just fine and should all clinch the major as well. And then looking at the Worlds race, NRG Ultimate's far ahead. NRG is likely going to be the 1 seed for the World Championship. It's just kind of, unless Ultimates end up winning the major, it's going to be a tough, you know, for them to come back. Nine Lives on a distant outside. They're going to have, you know, after they missed a regional, by the way, if you were not aware. So they're going to have a lot of work to do in the final regional if they want to get a major spot and a world spot. So yeah, I think the race for both the major and worlds comes down to these 5 teams right here: NRG, Ultimates, GenG, Complexity, and SSG. So things are going to heat up. I'm really interested to see how it actually goes this weekend. But yeah, I think good predictions so far. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. And if you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see y'all again next time.